Hi everyone, Dr. Vernita here. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I am going to be talking to you about my 2020 in review. I could be late, but I wanted to get all of 2020 out of the way and I didn't want to post a video on December 31st, 2020. So happy New Year. It is January 1st, 2021. And I am so excited for this new year. And I was actually excited for 2020 as well. I remember I wore this exact shirt. You know, it's like very glittery and sparkly. And I wore these earrings. It was different hairstyle and different makeup. But I wore this December 31st, 2019, headed to watch night service, which if you don't know, a lot of churches do a service at the end of the year, starting at like 10 o'clock and we all come together and pray when the clock strikes midnight and welcome the new year into church. This year, a lot of churches were doing it virtually. I didn't attend anything because honestly, I was in the bed by 8:30. So, yes. So, I want to talk about my year in review and I'm calling this video a year in your ear. So, I've heard that on a radio station, I think 106.7 here. I'm in Central Florida and I was like, "Oh, that's a cute title." So, there it is. On my Facebook Live last year, I did a decade in review. I got that idea from a referral, and that was really, really cool. I didn't realize like how much I had accomplished in a decade, right? So I decided I want to do this every year, a year in review. And then that way, when it's 2030, I'll have like not a document, like a catalog of things that I've actually accomplished. So I do write in my journals. I do take pictures. I do have content that I put on social media. So there are different ways that I will collect, that I have collected this data, but there's nothing like, for me, there's nothing really like writing in your journal to go back and look at different things. So I wore this crown as well. It said best year yet. I wore this and then I remember wearing it January 1st, 2020, because I was really excited. Everyone was excited. It was like the year of vision and all of the great stuff. So I'm not going to keep you long. Again, thank you again for coming. And while you're watching this video, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notification bells, and all of that, because I will be uploading more content, especially in 2021. I am coming off the high of my Vlogmas. I'm so proud of myself for doing all of those videos. So yeah, let's get into it. So I already told you, like, number one, I really started this year off with a lot of optimism. A lot of optimism. I was very excited to start, and it looked very positive. I had a vision board done. I wrote my January letter for 2021. I wrote it in January of December 2019. I always get that confused. I wrote a January letter to open today. Let's say it like that. And yeah, a lot of great things were happening. But now we're going to see, was 2020 a best year yet? So again, I told you, start off the year off great. Even went to a fancy brunch with some of my sorority sisters because we're going to welcome the new year in, right? Also, what happened in 2020, I had the opportunity to go to Singapore for a business trip slash education trip slash pleasure trip, right? I was there for a good amount of time, over a week, and I had to fly through Dubai, which was great. A very long trip, but I was really excited about that. Learned a lot of things. I did it through my job, and if you don't know, I'm a college professor. So I did it through my job because I was crafting a study abroad program. And I wanted to take students to a place where the education system was very, very good and very high ranked, so that students from the United States could see, we have all of these technological advances. And well, Singapore did too, but in a lot of my students' minds, they were like, well, we are the best, we're the United States, all this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, you might want to broaden your perspective and check out some of these other countries who may not seem to be as developed as the United States, but they got their stuff together. So Singapore has always been a favorite country of mine to study for the education system. And I created a course for that. So I was doing research about that in different places for my students to attend. I also wanted my students to understand the purpose of giving back and being involved in community. So I had charity work scheduled. So I pretty much did everything as if I was going to be a student, you know. So I toured around the city. I did some fun things. I did some educational things. I had a lot of meetings. So there. And that's when things got a little tricky. So I was already over there in the country and everyone were already like wearing masks. We had heard that I needed to take a mask because I was going to a different country and things like that. And when I was over there, I couldn't go to a lot of places because I was a foreigner. I was an outsider. So I couldn't go into a lot of places. They always had to check my temperature. I had to wear a mask. It was just a lot of things happening that people weren't talking about back home in the States. So that's when we were right on the cusp of being shut down. And I barely made it back into the United States before everything really shut down. So whew, that is how the beginning of my 2020 started. So I made it back. And then during that time, I was working on my portfolio for tenure and promotion. Again, I'm a college professor, and the coveted spot is being on a tenure track, because the purpose of being on a tenure track position is that you go through this process 5 to 6 years. Some people do it shorter, some people take longer, and then you end up having a job or position for life. So people who obtain tenure in universities rarely leave. Or if they leave that particular institution, they go to another one with their tenure and don't leave there. So it's like once you get tenure, you are, I don't want to say stuck, but it's like a guaranteed job. Like there are not a lot of places that have guaranteed jobs. So literally a professor would have to do something like against the law, like touch children or well, their students, or even sometimes that's a little tricky. I'm so serious. I'm not going to get into the details, but tenure is like you can barely get fired. But then it also comes with a pay raise, and it's just, you're off your toes a little bit. You can relax a little bit on the job. Well, things didn't go so well for me. I've been having trouble with my institution, like I'll say since my second semester there. But I got myself together and was like, okay, we're going to go for tenure. And I used standards from another institution, which is a higher ranked institution than my institution. I followed their guidelines for tenure and promotion because I was trained and told that you don't follow your institution's guidelines for tenure. You want to exceed those. And that's what I did. However, it became a personality issue to where I just did not fit in. So I decided after months of thinking, reflecting, looking over things, thinking about the big picture of my life, I decided to walk away from the tenure and promotion. And I did that around April, May of 2020. I felt empowered. It felt like the right thing to do, but it was hard, right? When it sunk in, it's like, whoa, I spent almost 5 years at this institution and I'm making the decision that this is not the place for me. Because here it is. It was either I didn't think they would give me tenure there. I really didn't. So it was, let me do this before you get me, because you're not going to get another year and a half of labor out of me just for me to go through this process and you tell me no. And then they also wanted me to do another portfolio. And I'm not going to get into all of that. I can if you want to know. If you want to know about higher ed process and how to become a professor, let me know in the comments. I can do a couple of videos on that. But anyway, I walked away from it. And again, if you understand the concept of having a job for life, you know that was a really big deal. So I went into the summer like, oh crap, what am I about to do? With that, I took that as a sign and an opportunity to really focus on my coaching and consulting business. And it helped that we were in the midst of a global pandemic. Yes, there is a horrible side of the pandemic. Many people lost their lives. I've had extended family members die from the virus and the other complications that was associated with the virus. So I understand. So please don't think that I am overlooking that, because it is still happening. Even though this is 2021, we are still in the midst of a pandemic. But at that time, around what, June, July, maybe May, because I remember the university shut down. So May, June is when the world shut down. Like nobody go anywhere. Everyone stay in your house. And this happened like for months. So during that time, I had nothing else to do but to think and get myself together. I talked about this in other videos where I had my business on paper since 2016, but it was like, okay, it was cute. It was like, oh, I got a business, but I really wasn't getting involved with it until 2019. So in 2020, I became more active. I got another coach. I became associated with another business mastermind group. I really stepped up my personal development, and I got serious about having a business and a company, because I was on the path of having two branches at once. Yes, I know people say focus, but I had time to do both. And I got some clients out of both of those. So it was really a good time for me. And plus, I was like, if you're not going to be on tenure track, yes, you are on an annual contract now. But at this point, whew, that scared me. I think they're still doing fireworks. I thought it was over. That's why I waited to do this, but apparently not. So it was like, you don't know what they're going to do. You don't want to leave it up into their hands. So I was trying to work hard and be strategic so I didn't have to go back in the fall. But I ended up having to go back in the fall, but it was all good. But over the summer and during the shutdown, I really became focused about doing what I need to do for my business and my coach. So my coaching and consulting business, again, one was consulting, was working with like schools and universities, and then coaching was working with like private clients and group coaching, mainly on personal growth and personal development. So during that transition, I used all of my skill sets as a professor and just transitioned them to what it was going to be like to be an entrepreneur. I had to think about what kind of entrepreneur would I want to be? What was my life going to be like? Because all I've known was you get a job and you work. Yeah, you can do some consulting on the side, but I've always been attached to like a job. So I had to really think about, well, what are you going to do if you just did not have this professor job? As a professor, I would apply for national conferences to speak. I was really good at that. So I've spoken all over the country, and then I did some international work. So then I transitioned and did that for like women empowerment, leadership. And I had the opportunity in a short amount of time to speak in front of 20,000 people virtually, right? So I never thought that what it would look like to speak out of an academic setting, right? So that was new for me. So that was like, whoa, you can make this happen. So same skill set, you just had to shift and then change your audience. So over I think I did a few, maybe 3 to 5 virtual events during a short amount of time. And that adding up the numbers, that led over speaking to 20,000 people, globally, in the virtual space. That was really exciting because I remember one of my many goals were to speak in front of 10,000 people. Now, of course, I wanted to do that live, but how cool is it that I was still able to achieve the goal and in a way exceed the goal, even though it wasn't like in front of live 10,000 people, but it was still, I was in front of a compilation of 20,000 people. So I thought that was cool. So I mentioned that I joined this business mastermind, and this was with a group of women that are like powerhouse women. I believe that the reason why I was able to thrive in 2020 is because I set myself up around people who were also like pushing the envelope, doing big things, and it was no competition, but it made me stand on my tippy toes like, okay, I need to step it up, because if we're gonna all get together in these business meetings, I want to have something to contribute. I want to have something to say, and I don't want to be like the the person that's just here for the popcorn, right? I wanted to make sure that I was, that I could pull my weight in the mastermind group. So I did that, and it really pushed me. It really stretched me in so many ways. But now I'm realizing that I need to be in that particular environment to thrive, because I can do pretty good by myself, but I do better when I'm with a group of collective energy or like-minded people. Another thing that I did was I bought a house, and I was on my vision board. So I'm not going to get into vision boards because I believe that there are a lot of videos, tons of videos, literally. So tons is like, in mathematical sense, what, like 2,000 pounds? And I believe there's well over 2,000 videos on vision boards, but half of my vision board worked and half of it didn't. But I understand why. So that's the important part. I understand why. And having a house was on there. The funny thing is, I actually had a picture of a brownstone, which in Central Florida, we don't have true brownstones, so, but we have we've had some buildings that were similar to brownstones. I was like, oh, I want one. But deep down inside, I really wanted a single family home. You know, I wanted yard and stuff, but I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cute? And no, when it says God gives you the desires of your heart, he gives you the real desires. So I actually got a house, and it was very quick. And all of that happened during the pandemic as well. So yeah, it came out of nowhere, but it really didn't, because I was already thinking about it. I had already been looking at houses a couple of years before. I had already been on a house hunt, but this 2020, I was like, you know, I want to have it by July, and then we'll see what happens. And I actually got the house like in April. So yay me. I was excited about that. Another thing that happened, I developed deep relationships and friendships. I rekindled a relationship that, you know, was around, you know, I won't get into that, but yeah, that happened. And some friendships happened, and I'm really happy about that, because part of my personal journey growth was really working on relationships, whether that was romantic, business, friends, family, partnership, anything that required a relationship. I really wanted to work on, because that was an area that has always been in my blind spot, because I was so focused on my career, my goals, that I kind of left people over out there somewhere. So I really wanted to focus on bringing people into my world and actually being active into other people's space and world. And that happened for me this year. So I was really excited about that. No, that wasn't on my vision board, but it was always a part of my personal growth journey. And now I'm seeing that I need to have all of those components available when I do a vision board. And that leads into another goal that happens. So I'll talk about that. I also realized areas where I need to level up as a woman. People are placed in your lives, especially in relationships, to show you areas of growth that you need. Yes, I've been on a personal development journey, rediscovering myself, but you think you're all good until another factor comes into your life, and that person, you know, picks up on things like, hey, that's not cool, or why are you like this? And not in a bad way, but just certain things about what you do and how you talk to people. Another person can bring that up, because you don't really realize that you're doing certain things until someone else says something. So with that being said, I realized, like, oh, there are certain places where I need to level up and grow up. Even though I'm in my 30s, I still had to grow up in those areas. And I'm so thankful for that. And I'll be honest, it was like, really? Really? You gonna say that? Do you know the work that I've been doing on myself? But part of growing up, regardless of your age, is maturing, you know, coming into yourself, being aware is being open, and seeing that what someone says is not criticism, but you look at it as an opportunity for growth. Now, I'm not saying if they were being condescending and mean and all of that. No, 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 no. We're not talking about that. But if you know it's something that, I can see that. And I had a lot of those moments. I can see that. And I've worked on those things, and they've just made me a better person. So I already talked about really building my coaching and consulting business. I'm doing more of that. I want to make sure I am focused on that. And I'm realizing, you know, of course, where energy goes, energy grows, or where energy grows, energy goes. You know, whatever you focus on, it grows, right? So I was doing more of that, and I can see the traction building. I can see people reaching out to me, not as much as I would have liked, because clarity is king and queen. So the more I had this journey of getting clear, and it took all of the shutdown and part of the fall for me to really say, oh, that's what I want to do. And to develop this institute for my coaching business, and to really hone in on who I want to work with, what I want to work with them on, and focus on that. So it took me a lot of time, because I was like, why aren't things working out for me? Why am I not getting the clients I want? It's because people don't know what you really do. So I'll be honest, if you go on my Facebook page and you watch like all of my Facebook lives that I had done previously, it was like this. I know that all of those areas are important, but it was like, are you just doing commentary, or are you really trying to help? Like, what are you doing? So I know that I had to focus on exactly what I wanted to do and what I wanted to say. And I believe I did a better job with that, because I actually did Vlogmas 2020 with an entrepreneurial spin on it. I talked about how a business coach introduced me to that particular type of Vlogmas. And I was pretty proud of myself. You know, I talked about things in the business, about being an entrepreneur and things like that. And it felt really good to have good, consistent, clear content, right? So I was proud of myself, and that's what happened in 2020 as well. Another thing that happened, and I know it's like, what is going on? I'm talking to you about things that have happened even in a pandemic, a global shutdown where it was a lot of tragedy happening. I am blessed, and I thank God for allowing me to be in a space where I could be my most creative self. And it's crazy. It's like it took all of this for me to sit down, think, and, you know, again, level up and grow up and say, do what you're supposed to be doing on this earth and forget everything else. So I started just doing random things. I did a challenge over the summer about a COVID writing challenge. Well, I was like, well, while we're locked up in the house for these, I think it was like 3 months or something like that. While we're locked up, we might as well start writing. So I challenged a group of people who always wanted to write a book. I was like, we have nothing but time. I literally coached them through a process, right? So I'm not a book coach or, you know, anything like that, but I realized that I knew how to create a space and a system and give people tools and strategies to help them reach their goals, whatever the goals may be. For this particular case, it was writing a book. And then there were several people that actually wrote their books. And then one lady got her book published like very quickly. So from an idea to publication, all within a short amount of time. And the other women may get their books published, but they at least finished. And then I've had like 3 books started during that time. So everyone was writing. I had some people do some major articles because I had some professors joining the group, and they're like, they really need to get these like big, heavy articles written during that time. And they did, and they got those published, which is a big deal. You know, in certain fields in the professoriate, books don't matter, but articles do. So it just depends. And I was thankful to be a part of a group of women where I was just a catalyst to help them achieve their goals in such a time where it was a lot of death happening. There were new life and new creation happening as well. So I was so thankful that I was able to create that space and opportunity for those women. Also, something else happened. I also became an Amazon's #1 bestseller. Yay! Yes. Oh my gosh. So when I told you about the pandemic, the COVID writing challenge, and I said I had 3 books. Well, one of them I was like, okay, which one are we gonna do? And this was the book that I actually finished. It took about 90 days for me to write it and get it published, maybe a little over 90 days, but it's Embracing Grit for Greatness, Becoming Professionally Powerful Through Personal Empowerment. It is available on Amazon. I can leave a link below, but I was excited that I got this book finished in the amount of time that I got it finished. And it was part of my personal development journey over the years, some things that I learned in 2020, and a way to help high achieving people break their personal glass ceilings so they could be their most empowered selves. So that happened, and that is how I really closed my 2020. I was so excited when that happened. But the most important thing, I also did another challenge where people were like, we're canceling 2020, throw 2020 away, especially like when we were on the global shutdown. So I did a challenge where it was uncancel 2020. It's time to reset. Let's go get our January goals, bring them down into July, and let's ride this out in December. And I had some women join that group, and for 6 months, I was in there. We were talking, giving some tools, strategies, some affirmations, a whole bunch of things happening in that group. And a lot of the women achieved their goals, which they were like, man, forget 2020. And just yesterday, I had them tell me a lot of the things that they had accomplished because I did create that space for them. And some of them, their goals were all over the place, from saving money to writing another book to starting their business to growing their social media following, all of that. And they've accomplished them. They may not have hit every single goal, but they were in a position where, oh, I'll just wait until 2021 to, wow, I actually got things done. So I was excited, even though I've had my own growth and I love the growth that I've had. It has been super amazing and super exciting to be a part of someone else's growth, especially in a year like 2020. So that is how I closed up 2020. It was an exciting year for me. It may not have been everything like on my vision board. It may not have been a lot of tangible things that I was seeking, but I had a really good year overall. And plus I did these hot girl summer braids. These braids are like 28 inches long. They're up in this bun right now. But since it's not hot girl summer, I was like, what? Warm winter. No, what did I call it? Wisdom woman winter. Yeah, wisdom woman winter. Maybe if you have a different name, you can comment below. Don't forget to subscribe, by the way. I would love that. I really want to grow my channel, and not really just grow for the sake of growing it. Like, I want some people who want to learn from me and people I can learn from as well. So comment below, like, what would I name these braids? They're not hot girl summer because it's not summer. This is January. So what would it be? But they're long. And I tried knotless. They're my version of knotless, however I got it in. But I did them last night. No, I did them on the 30th, and I'm able to throw them up here. So there's some version of knotless. But anyway, I wanted to do something like different because it's like, why wait to the summertime to have braids? 2020 showed us that you can do whatever you want to do, right? There are no rules. Everything we thought was safe and secure was not. The world was turned upside down. Like, we've never seen anything like this. I think the only thing that happened like this was 100 years ago, where none of us were alive, or many of us weren't alive. So if you made it to this, if you're watching this video, give yourself a round of applause because you survived 2020. And it may not have been everything that you were looking for, but I challenge you to go back and do a review. There are no rules. So you can come on and do a video January 15th if you want to, about your 2020 in review. We're getting rid of all of these rules and restrictions. Like, do what you want to do, right? Do what makes you feel good. So yeah, I encourage everyone to do a year in review. Go think about month by month. Go look at some of your journaling that you did this year. If you journal, go look at some of the pictures that you took, or just go through your phone, go look on Facebook or Instagram. Just look at certain things that captures data. I know my phone does that with pictures. They'll show, hey, this is what happened at this time last year. And at first it was annoying, but it was like, wow, that happened, and that happened this year, or that happened, at the beginning, whatever the case may be. So I encourage you to go do that. You will be surprised, even if it's the small things. So like I said, everything may not have been physical. I may not have hit like the financial goals or all the goals, like what I wanted to do with my house or things like that. There was some growth there. I told you, there were some exciting things that happened for me. So I still say 2020 was a great year, and I still hold true to my crown. And then I'm bringing it to 2021 because I do believe if you're able to see a new year, it has the potential to be the best year yet. And it's all up to you. So that's all I have for you today. I thank you so much for being here. Again, you'll see more of me. I'm taking this time to really settle into 2021 and the energy of 2021, because again, I learned from my goals. I read my January letter. I posted on my Instagram that I was a little sad and a little, disappointed. However, I found the lessons learned, and I was like, I didn't fail. I just found a new way to do stuff, right? So I'll be writing my next January, I'll be writing my January 22 letter, either later tonight or tomorrow. I just have to be in a good space to do that. Wrapping up, my goals and my vision board. And I do this, and not to be like trendy, but I see the power of it for me, right? I do see the power in it for me. So that's all I have for you. Thank you so much. Comment down below, like, how did you wrap up your 2020? What are you excited about for 2021? What is something that you didn't realize that an area of growth? That's what I want to say. What is an area of growth that you weren't expecting in 2020, but it came out in 2020, right? So yeah, and I think I already said this, but what are you looking forward to in 2021? All right. So again, I am Dr. V. Thank you so much for listening and learning with me. I also love learning and listening, sort of, from you, from the comments. And I will see you next time. Bye.